Today is your new decade, right now.
No, I'm already thinking 3 years ahead.
January. Let's go. If you don't like your life, then you need to change it. It's up to you to go make it better. And you can. The thing that hurt me is gonna heal me.
Yes. It's vitally important to be able to have people who support you in your life. But we don't get to pick our family. We don't get to pick the environment we grow up in. What do we do with that? No one can take your education away from you. Are you taking my story of childhood seriously as you play with your dog? Welcome to the Something to Prove podcast with Mark Drager and Evan Carmichael. How you doing, Evan?
Good, I'm good.
Are you good?
Yep.
You just want to get the topic, don't you?
I'm good. I'm going down a wonderful path with Mark Drager. Don't know where it's gonna lead, but it's gonna be something special.
This is next level. This is next level. I gotta ask you, Evan, how's healing your neck going?
Getting there. Yesterday, my physiotherapist gave me this new exercise where I have to lean off a table, and then I need a partner, so Nina has to hold my head.
Oh my goodness, when I saw this on Instagram,
What?
when you were like, I need a partner to help me, I envisioned immediately myself helping you somehow.
Oh, really?
And then you said your wife, and I was like, oh, I guess she's the
You wanna come over?
I guess she's the natural person to
You wanna
help
come
you.
over 3 times a day to help me do this?
Not me.
Yeah.
But somehow in my brain, like my instant reaction
See,
was like, I'm the man who can help Evan do this
Mark
physio.
is gonna serve, I like it. But then I got nauseous after it. She warned me that I might get nauseous.
Okay.
Then I got really nauseous. So I gotta make sure, basically you gotta lean on the edge of the bed with an inch off and then go, put your neck down as far as you can.
Oh.
Basically try to touch the bed with your neck and back up.
Yeah.
Which is great, it reduces a lot of the pain, but coming up, if you come up, I have to go up really slowly, otherwise I get, and how did this happen in the first place? I got nauseous and like passed out, right? So.
Circle of life.
Exactly. So the thing that hurt me is gonna heal me.
Yes.
Here we go.
Nausea is gonna heal you.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
I just want to warn everyone in the audience. Evan gets really obsessed with things every now and again.
Okay.
I'd say he goes in 2 to 3 week cycles where he gets really obsessed with things.
Really? Okay.
And
What am
based
I-
on the last 45 minutes of conversations that we've been having, I have a feeling he's about to get obsessed with meditation.
Okay.
So
Is that our topic?
no, but
Okay.
but I'm just suggesting that for all of us hardcore Evan Carmichael fans, and I would
Okay.
include myself in that group.
Oh, that's
I
nice.
would suggest let's get ready for the ride because he's about to talk about this for the next 3 to 4 weeks.
Oh, maybe.
You don't think so?
I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
You just spent 45 minutes telling me all about this
Because
stuff.
we have
the
a special
gamma,
guest and
the gamma,
we
the
have a special
omega,
guest here who's been
or what is
teaching
it?
me. Listen, I've been meditating every day, except maybe 1 or 2 days since my injury. So that's since
But
March 15th.
you bought like a electronic
Muse.
crown.
I got the
and,
Muse. Yeah,
okay.
Muse.
Muse.
It measures your
Yeah.
brain activity.
Yeah.
Or other stuff. I don't like the other stuff. The other stuff. There's a what?
It's so weird. There's a dog sitting in your lap.
Why is it weird?
Well, because she's now like licking my elbow.
No, it's her nose. She likes you. Better than biting your fingers.
It's so wet and gross. Anyway, go on. Meditation. You've been meditating every day.
Yeah, every day. I'm trying to heal myself. I've been following the instructions of my mentor, Michael Edwards, who's given me guidance and support.
Michael Edwards happens to be over here off camera.
Right, yes.
So
that's why we're talking about meditation for the past 45 minutes.
Exactly.
That's the context point.
Exactly.
Okay.
Very
go.
cool.
Next.
Very cool. Yeah, so let's jump into this week's topic.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and dig deep.
Okay.
Let's hit this topic. Let's attack it. Let's work our way through it and provide a ton of value.
Do you know what the topic is? Mark blanked out. Literally,
Seriously,
like
so here's
a
what
minute and a
happened.
half before.
Here's what happened. I didn't write it down in my notepad, which I have right here. And I was all ready for this. And then as soon as Evan went, "Are you guys ready to go?" It literally flew out
Left
of my
his
head.
mind. It's the best.
And I went, no, we can't go live. We can't go live because I don't know what the topic is.
Live. Okay, so what's the
Live.
topic?
Well, what do you want to talk about?
What? No, that's not how this works. You're the host.
I'm the host. I get to come up with a topic.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be honest with you guys.
I'm just a little.
You're just
I'm
along for the
I'm the
ride.
sleigh dog. Mark goes mush, and I run.
Okay. So
Mush!
2 weeks ago, or maybe it was last week, you said you were the horse, and you didn't like the analogy of me riding you, so
Right.
you were pulling the sled.
Right, that's better.
And now you're a sleigh dog.
Yeah.
You've
Sleigh-
gone from horse to dog.
Sleigh dog. Listen, huskies are beautiful animals. Don't be hating on the huskies.
Okay.
Anti-dog. This is the second anti-dog statement he's made in the past 3.5 minutes.
I have a 1-year-old Rottweiler
Who you want to get rid of?
who's in heat for her second time, and she gets super aggressive when she's in heat. So it's just not fun.
Don't take that out on all the dogs of the world.
Dude, I'm a Anti-dogite, is that?
Yep, sounds like it. 3 anti-dog statements in 3 minutes.
Amazing. Here's what I want to talk about. I always think in terms of whenever we're approaching a podcast episode and I'm thinking in terms of topics, I always think about the things that hold us back, the things that put us in a box, or the things that we have to get over.
Okay.
And so I was actually going to tell you that I was thinking about doing this, and your response was, no, don't tell me.
Don't tell me, yeah.
Don't
What?
tell me.
Come on,
Why
don't
would
tell
you
me
tell
that.
me? Of course
Exactly,
not.
come on,
Of course
man.
not.
You should know this by now.
So here's the thing. I actually want to do a series.
Okay.
And we may attack these week by week, or we may trickle them along. But I believe that all of us share the same 4 or 5 limiting self-beliefs that keep us from moving into a business, that keep us, once we're in a business, from scaling our business,
Okay.
or when we've hit a certain thing and we've achieved something, we get really depressed because we're not good at setting up the next thing. And so whether you are thinking about starting a business, you're in a business and want to go to the next level, or whether you have succeeded but now find yourself unhappy, there are the same limiting self-beliefs that hold us back. So the reason why I'm a little bit worried about doing this is I don't want this to come across, I was telling you, as just the negative hour, like every week we're just talking about negative things, because really it's about overcoming them. But I want to start attacking some of these things. So the first topic that I want to start off with is those who support you. So the people in our lives.
Wait, did you come up with the list of what the 5 things
Yeah.
are? Oh, you do? What are
But
the
I'm
5
not going to
things?
tell you this, because otherwise you're going to get mad.
All right, fine.
No.
Jesus.
So, okay, fine. You want me to go through them?
Yeah.
Lack of access of money, lack of skill set or education, those who don't support us, being parents, loved ones, or other people, the geography that you happen to live in, and then there's a 5th that I can't remember off the top of my head. There's a 5th. There's a 5th.
But lack of belief, lack of self-awareness.
Fine. I wasn't going to say those things, but you want to be in charge of the topics? You want me to be in charge of the
I'll
topics?
take you. I'm just mushing.
Perfect.
Mush.
Mush?
Mush.
Oh, my.
The sled dog. Mush.
I would say if you're a horse, you'd say, yeah!
All right.
Kentucky, would you say that? Yes. Michael's from Kentucky. He says that's what you would say.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah! Like that. Anyway, can we talk about people in our lives?
Yeah, let's go.
Fantastic. So I think it's vitally important to be able to have people who support you in your life. But we don't get to pick our family. We don't get to pick the environment we grow up in. We don't get to pick the cultural norms or the school system that we're raised in. We don't get to pick any of that. So everyone, regardless of where you are, the system that you have has certain limitations or certain things that we tell ourselves because they were put into us environmentally, DNA, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
What do we do with that?
So 2 things. 1, you turn it from the negative to the positive. And 2, you surround yourself and change your environment. So on the first one, I did, in my book, Your One Word, which Mark Drager is in the book, I talk about 2 different NBA All-Stars. One of them says, I'm here because of my dad, because I learned everything from him. He taught me how to be a human, and I owe everything to him. I want to be just like him. NBA All-Star. Another NBA All-Star. I owe everything to my dad. He was the worst human being alive. I never want to be like him, right? I'm paraphrasing. But that idea is like, they both grew up with their fathers, one being amazing and one being the worst of all time. Mm-hmm. It's easy to say, well, I got the worst parent of all time, and then just resign yourself to a crappy life. Like, no, that can be motivation to say, I want to do something different. Mm-hmm. This is an example of everything I don't want to be. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of perception.
But there are people who are raised in homes where their parents abuse alcohol, mm-hmm. and they find themselves growing up in a similar cycle. Or there are people who grow up in the exact same environment who say, I will never touch a drop of alcohol in my life because I know how destructive it could be.
Yep, same thing. It's a choice. You choose. This is an example of everything I don't want. So I had great parents, amazing. I want to be a father like my dad was a father, awesome. That's a great positive role model. But otherwise, so what? So if you had parents who sucked, what's your choice? Like, what are you going to do? What's the alternative? You just have a crappy life your whole life and just blame your parents? Like, you're 45 years old and still blaming your parents? Oh, I'm this way because my parents were this way. You're an adult, right? Like, when you're 5 years old, you have no choice. But what age you become an adult? I don't know, 16, 18, 24, 32, 45. When are you an adult to say, hey, I'm going to stop blaming my parents for how I was raised? Like, I get to make a choice.
Yeah, so we're going to cover a bunch of different things here, but the way I would look at it is there's the environment in which you grew up with that helps you, what?
I like your flubs are the best.
With an environment in which you grew up. I shall articulate everything now. There's the environment you grew up in. There's the moment where you decide you want to do something and you maybe lack the support of your parents or they don't have the vision. There's the person that you find yourself with, the partner that you have in life and whether they support you or not in whatever's next.
I think that's the hardest one of all of them.
Well, we'll get to it maybe. But when you're saying, when you're 45 and you're blaming your parents, I think the environment that we grow up in, we don't think about. I think the person that we turn into, we make choices that we didn't even realize we made those choices. I think people are 45 and they don't even realize the impact their childhood had on them, and they don't connect the dots.
So back to self-awareness as being one of the problems, right? But there's a lot of people who are 45 and blaming their parents, and they just stop living because their parents were X to them. Yeah, now you're an adult, so now you need to start taking life into your own hands. And if it's the same thing if you're 45 and you don't know, great, you're an adult, figure it out. You want a better life, you can figure it out. It's never been more possible than right now, right?
Evan is looking at me. We're sitting so close. You're looking into my eyes as if you're trying to convince me.
Yeah, it's never been more possible. So whatever the problem you think you're facing is, you can fix it. So if your environment caused you to be this way, amazing. There's people who came from worse environments who went on to do way bigger things. So you have no excuse. People want an excuse. That means they don't have to do the work. Yep.
So here's the thing. The people are way better or way worse off. Do you think people say other people are way worse off? So I have nothing to complain about, and I should, they use it as a positive? Or do you think they say other people are way worse off, so I shouldn't even dig into it because it's not that important?
Just like everything else, is a choice. And the people who go off and build the life they want are the ones who use it as inspiration to go off and do better. You can always find a reason why you shouldn't win. And if you can't come up with a reason, there's lots of people who will give you a reason why you can't win. There's a million reasons why you won't win.
There's only 8 why you will.
There's 8 why you will, right? That's it. You focus on the 8. That's it. It's important. That's what you need to do. You got to focus on the 8. So if you had crappy parents, awesome. And you're going to live a crappy life the rest of your life now because you didn't have a father in your life?
At what point do you decide, if this is a choice, to face your childhood or to face the pain or to admit that maybe you're not doing what you should do because you're not working hard enough?
If you hate your life. Yeah. If you don't like your life, then you decide to change it. If you like your life, great. I got nothing for you. Congratulations. If you don't like your life, then you need to change it, and it's on you. It's not your parents or your friends or your husband or wife or your country or anybody else. It's up to you to go make it better, and you can.
So while we're on parents, let's say, you get this question all the time because I hear you answer it. I want to do this. I want to pursue this dream. I want to take this action. I want to do these things, but my parents don't believe in me. My parents don't think I should do it. My parents are worried about me.
Okay. So what would I say? You hear me say it all the time then.
Yeah, I have the answer, but I'm host, so I'm trying to give you. I am Mark, host.
I don't want to say the same thing I always say.
Say something different.
Say something different.
Is there something different to say?
No, it's the same thing. That's what you say. You can live your version of your life for your parents. That's it. At what age you decide that you're an adult? Hey, I'm an adult.
You don't actually like these structured. You like topics when they're really out there and off the wall. Last week, I asked you a topic that caused you to think through this stuff, and you never had thought through it before.
I like that. I like the challenge of it. I also like topics that are, this isn't meaningful to you.
What do you mean it's not meaningful to me?
I don't feel like it's meaningful to you.
It is. I'm just trying
You're
to
asking questions I already know that you already know the answer to.
Right.
And so
you'd rather this podcast just be Mark Therapy every week?
maybe, I don't know, maybe.
Something to prove? Mark Therapy with Mark Drager and therapist Evan Carmichael? Here's the truth of it. The truth of it is I grew up with a very, very, very supportive mother.
Yep.
And when I decided that I didn't want to go, so I wanted to become an engineer and then an architect. I grew up in a family of house builders, and part of me still regrets, that secret regret, that I'm not an architect. I love commercial and residential architecture. So I really wanted to be an engineer and architect, and I decided in my last year of high school, right before submitting to go to university for that, I literally just switched my mind and went to film school instead. And my whole family freaked out. My mother said, "This is awesome." She's like, "You are young." She's like, "Do this, and if it doesn't work, you do something else. No one can take your education away from you." Are you taking my story of childhood seriously as you play with your dog? What are we doing?
Nobody can take this away from you.
What are we doing here?
Nobody can take this away from you. You're still young. Go for it. Let's go. I'm listening.
I had this.
Yes.
Yeah, you're playing with your dog. So I have this super supportive mom, and then when I started my business, I had a super supportive mom who took out a line of credit, and I could borrow some money from and allowed me to do it. And so I had that. I've been lucky to have a very, very supportive wife, who we've had to negotiate, like, how hard can I work, and am I in a really busy period, and does she feel like I'm putting her second or third or fourth to people, and we're a very, very supportive wife. My kids have no choice but to be supportive because they're kids for now. So I have supportive kids, but I still have this seed planted within me from when I was a child, the environment and my limiting self-beliefs and all those things. But I do know that when you are that. I can imagine that if you are 19 or 25 or 30 and you want to do something and people look at you, I do know that because I say things now that people look at me and think I'm crazy. I tell people what I want to do, and I had someone say, "You are on drugs." And I wasn't even thinking as big as I probably should have been thinking, but I was still breaking their mind. And the reason why we call this something to prove is because I honestly believe that most of us spend most of our time trying to prove to ourselves or to others what we think we're capable of. But this limiting belief surrounds us. It constantly reminds us that what we're doing doesn't make sense, that it's breaking the norm culturally or what have you. And if you have parents who don't want to allow you, who want to stop you from doing what you believe in, I can imagine how scary or debilitating that is. Mm-hmm. So your answer is like, well, you have to decide when you're going to start living your life or not someone else's. Mm-hmm. My answer is they have leverage over you and you need to remove the leverage from them. So if you really believe in what you're doing more than anything else, you need to figure out a way to say, I am going to go do this with or without you. Mm-hmm. So you can't, if you want your parents' blessing, and they won't give it to you, but you're going to do it anyway, that's just a blessing. If you want your parents' money, or you want your parents' home, or you want your parents' support, or you want your college fund or whatever it is, then, and you want to do what else you want to do, then you need to be willing to cut that out too.
Yeah, welcome to being an adult. If you're 35 years old and still living at home, then yeah, maybe you have to follow what your parents want you to do. Maybe you have to leave home. Maybe that's the only way. It doesn't mean you have to. The goal here isn't to spit on your parents' face and insult them and get angry at them. It's not being disrespectful. You can live your life without disrespecting your parents. But yeah, maybe you have to. Maybe you got to move out.
Okay, and so what if you're in a situation where you have people in your life that you cannot get away from that are negative, and you're trying to be positive, tear people down, and you're trying not to have that? What do you do? How do you manage that?
You either limit exposure, so you don't talk about the things that cause problems. If your career is a thing that's going to cause a problem, then you don't talk about your career. So every time we talk about it, we end up in fights. I love you. I don't want to talk about it. And then you talk about family, and you talk about sports, and you talk about the weather, and you talk about whatever else you can connect with your family members on. And if they can't handle that, then in extreme cases, maybe you do. Maybe you need to, people cut out family members all the time. Like maybe that's actually the best thing. That's not what I would go to first.
You wouldn't go in guns blazing?
No, I wouldn't want to cut off my mom as a default action. But if there's no way, if you've tried to make every effort to have a positive relationship and not talk about this sensitive subject, and there's nothing else you can connect on, and every time you go around it's just negativity and makes you hate your life, then maybe you shouldn't be around her. Yeah.
So when I grew up in a pretty volatile household. And my mom and dad split up when I was born, basically. So they got along really well, but I didn't get along with my stepfather very well. And so I don't even remember this, but apparently when I was 15, I approached my mom and I said, I can't live here anymore. And I said, I have to leave. I don't know where I'm going to go, but I can't live here anymore, so I'm leaving. That was apparently serious enough that she then said, okay, so Mark is leaving with or without my blessing. And so she helped me get a place so I could move out, and I didn't have to live there anymore. So I moved out when I was 16 with my sister. And I didn't even remember this. I remember moving out, obviously, when I was 16. It was the greatest time of my life. Because we lived just in such a pressure cooker of a home with so much anger and all of these other things. And so I just could not wait to leave and get out. But apparently the seriousness in which I brought it to my mom was enough for her to be like, oh, okay, so he's doing this with or without me. Maybe I should try and help make this happen.
Great. You have a great, supportive mom.
I know, I really do. Now that I'm
right?
The other day you said I never tell you all these stories. So now I'm telling you more stories about my mom because you're tired of the plumbing story.
I didn't say I was tired of it. I said it's the only one that I know.
Yeah,
so
there you
it's
go.
The second one that I know. Yeah, and here you are. It's 16, moving out, and it's good, and you grow and you learn, and now you're by yourself and you're out of the pressure cooker. Now you're able to be more free and do the thing you want to do.
So why do you say, shifting gears, why do you think having an unsupportive spouse is so damaging?
I think ultimately the person you're with,
Yeah.
if they don't support you, you can't be with that person. I think and that's why it's so tough, because
That is actually more black and white than I thought you. I've heard you say that answer, and I know that you've given this advice. You've given this advice to people in your circle.
Yeah, if
That's a serious
the
answer.
person who's with you, if you can't grow together, I think the test of relationship is how much can you grow together. You're meeting each other at this point in time, 2019, but you're going to evolve, and if you don't evolve together, then it's not going to work.
I'm so focused on 2019. We're already working on projects for 2020 and 2021.
Okay.
And so when I sit down and I remind my clients that we are working on projects for a world that's a different decade, the 20s.
Okay.
I don't know why, but that's so mind-blowing to me.
Really?
That we are on, because
just
I'm
next
so
year, dude.
I know, but to me, it's a totally different decade, a different period of time. We will classify it different. When the 90s came up, none of these people know the 90s. They're too young, and it was like, welcome to the 90s and talk to the hand and all that stuff. Get ready for a brand new decade.
I don't think
the
that
20s.
Today is your new decade, right now.
No, I'm already thinking 3 years ahead.
January. Let's go.
No, it's a different decade.
No,
Welcome to the 20s.
It's already a different decade. You walking in here is a different decade. Right now,
make sense.
No, that's it. That's
It
the whole
doesn't
thing.
even make
No,
sense.
here's how it makes sense. Your whole mindset of wow, I can't believe it. There's a new decade coming. No, take that same wonder and apply it to right now.
Jeff Bezos lives 3 years ahead in his thinking. He says the CEO's job is to live 3 years ahead in their thinking.
That's not even close to being the same thing. That's strategic planning for where he wants to take his company. You're blown away that next year is a new decade. That's nothing. That's not even close.
Can't I at least enjoy it?
No.
Why not?
No.
Walking in here is a new decade. What the hell
Yes,
does that mean?
exactly.
What the hell does that mean?
That wonder, that, oh my God, can you believe it? That's what you should be doing right now.
We're working on projects that will be in market next year.
That's arbitrary. It's just another year on the calendar. That doesn't mean anything. Take that sense of this podcast. This podcast is 2020. This podcast is the same joy.
It's not 2020, it's the 20s.
Whatever, I don't care.
The 20s. Get ready, guys, for the roaring 20s.
No.
Yeah, Great Gatsby style, champagne flowing.
I can't believe you interrupted me for that. I was on to something.
See, this is real frustration.
Now it is.
It's real frustration.
Well, I was willing to go with you.
You guys are following the crap challenge that Evan's doing?
The Dr. Test crap
Although
challenge.
he's still not really that upset because he's still laughing and smiling. Go ahead, answer your question.
I was on to something that I got
You
interrupted.
gotta leave your spouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed we got interrupted for that. I was expecting something much better. If your spouse doesn't support you, yeah, I don't think you can be with them, and that's hard. That's a tough, like leaving home is hard. You know, you probably won't dump your parents. You'll still see them once a month or a couple times a year, whatever it is. It's easy to maintain. If you only connect on a couple things, it's easy to maintain a distant relationship. Mm-hmm. But when it's your spouse, when you're with them every day, and they're not supporting you on your journey where you're trying to go, it's not going to work.
Do you think it's more common that two people get together and someone turns negative against their spouse, or do you think it's more common that they were both negative and one person has this mind-blowing shift and the other person isn't willing to come along for the ride?
Oh, I think the first is more common. I don't think most people have mind-blowing shifts and want to change. I mean, if that's you, amazing, great, and your partner may come along for the ride with you, or they may not. I think most people, what?
I'm just thinking of Jack. I told her, I'm like, get ready. I'm taking you along for this ride.
Oh, you're making it personal. Okay, great. But here's the thing, like Nina too. Nina, so this is a great moment. Nina in the car, maybe, I was in the car, I was in our condo a couple weeks ago, said, she just came up and said, thank you, because I wouldn't do any of these things that we do together if it was just up to me. She's opening the door.
She's opening the door, listening
to listen in. Yeah.
Yeah, he's saying really sweet things about you.
Well, it's about me, really, but it's about you and me.
Wow.
No, she said thank you, that I wouldn't do these things that we do if it was just left up to me. And so what I love about Nina is I'm the one who comes up with all the crazy, weird stuff for us to do, and then she is willing to try anything, at least once. So she wants to come on my tour, and she wants to sit in ice baths, and she wants to, go on my meditation journey. And she's doing it with me, right?
I need a little meditation counter, a little ding to go off every time you mention it.
That was like once. So it's great having somebody that will join you on the trek, even though her role isn't necessarily coming up with new things for us to do. Mm-hmm. I'm the weird one, but she always likes to join in. And so as a result, she wouldn't have done all of the things that we've done by herself, but she appreciates being with me, who will carry along on these crazy rides. And I like having somebody with me who wants to do stuff. My previous relationships is like, okay, that's your thing to do. Okay, great. And I'm happy to do it by myself, but it's when Nina first wanted to join in on stuff, it's like, oh, you want to come? That feels weird.
A bit of a
okay,
shift.
Great. Yeah.
A bit of a shift.
And so I think that's strengthened our relationship, and I will continue to come up with weird, crazy, wild ideas. And
do you know what Nina's love language is?
Nina, what's your love language?
Sorry?
Nina, do you know your love language?
What are the options?
So there's 5 love languages, supposedly. There's acts of service, so doing things for others or having people do things for you makes you feel loved. There's gifts, so really being thoughtful in the gifts you give or the gifts you receive. There's quality time, spending time with people. There is words of affirmation, so like putting to words how you feel and hearing nice words. And then there is
touch,
physical touch, feeling, touching, having that connection through touch. Typically, you have a primary and a secondary. Do you know what your love language might be?
What do you like?
All of it.
She's just said all of them.
Welcome to my life, guys. Welcome to my life.
We'll help you figure it out. When we go for dinner, we'll figure it out. I know Evans, we've talked about this. Your love language is acts of service.
Yeah.
That's what you've said.
Yeah.
Mine is acts of service as well. Yeah, my wife's is quality time. That's like so low. That's like the bottom out of my 5 things. That is like the low. Well, maybe gifts is pretty low too. My wife's is gifts and quality time, and I suck at both of those.
Yeah, gifts is low for me. Gifts is
totally.
Low. I don't need gifts.
Totally. I will buy a gift.
You gonna buy me a gift for my birthday?
If I can turn a gift into an act of service.
Yeah, I hear you.
Like if me going and finding something that's really hard to do, but then I'll give it to her, and she'll be like, "That's it." I'm like, "Do you know how hard I worked for this?"
What's my birthday gift, Mark?
Your birthday gift?
What's the date of this?
May 23rd? Is that your birthday?
No, May 20. Monday. This Monday.
May 20th?
Yeah, Monday.
Okay. So it's the day before my anniversary.
So you know what?
Tuesday's my anniversary.
So May 20th is my birthday. It's a holiday here in Canada.
Happy birthday.
It's a holiday in Canada.
Yeah.
And we do fireworks every year.
For Victoria Day.
For Victoria Day.
Victoria.
Yeah, Queen Victoria. We're Canadian. So my mom used to tell me the fireworks were for me.
Oh, wow. No wonder the ego. That's like right out of Tangled.
She's
right?
like,
the lights.
Everybody's celebrating your birthday. Look, the fireworks are just for you.
Wow.
It's like, oh, wow. That's great.
That's awesome, actually. No wonder you're so believe-filled.
Right?
We got married on the Saturday so we started dating in 2000. 19 years ago, I started dating my wife. And we started dating on the May long weekend. And then when we decided to get married, we just went, hey, what year does our anniversary fall on a Saturday? And it was in 2005. So we went like, oh, okay, so we'll get married in 2005. So we got like super round numbers to work with, but it's May 21st,
So you're on this path, and you've exploded your growth. And what's your concern? That your wife is not coming along?
Oh, no concern for me. I'm just like, I am doing this. Prepare yourself. I'm bringing you with me. So now I'm not like, that's maybe like I didn't ask for her consent, but I'm also saying like, hey, I'm changing. Like I know I'm changing. Let's go, and you'll enjoy most of this. So yeah.
So for us, I think along the ride, like looking at the tour, we always had to budget in a day of exploring the city.
Right.
Because Nina wanted to explore the city and try the food.
Right. I think quality time might be high on Nina's list, maybe, but I don't really know her that well.
It's also just like she likes the variety and she wants to try all the food in each city and see what, take in. For me, I didn't, zero, it's like so low. I mean, I've seen most of the cities anyway, but even if I had to pick a priority, it wouldn't be, I care about looking at this architecture. Like I'd rather just talk to entrepreneurs the whole time. Just put me in a hotel room, lock me in with entrepreneurs. Just keep the line coming, entrepreneurs, and then we'll go to the next city. That's all I would love to do. It was my journey. The whole thing started because I said I was going to take Nina to every city in America with 1 million plus people, because she loved to travel and see new stuff. For me, it was whatever. I'm sick of traveling. But then I figured out how to turn the thing, a gift for Nina, into something that could be good for me too. So we went off and did this whole tour.
This guy is the master at turning one thing into something that's good for him.
I think you should be. I think that's healthy. I think that's good.
Awesome. So basically, to recap a little bit, 1, grow up and choose to ignore your childhood, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I look at it more as I would lean in on the positive of like, you're an adult now. Like, choose to be an adult. Like, step into your adulthood. You want a better life, you can make it. That's what adults do, and you have to make tough choices as a result. And this is fantastic training for what's to come. Did we talk about the mountain, the mountain behind the mountain? Did we do that?
Not on this podcast.
Oh my
There's
God!
an old Buddhist saying.
No, it's not Buddhist. It's African. I found this in The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday.
Okay, so
There's an
I
expression-
heard it on that podcast with the guy that worked with Tom, the book box guy.
Anyway, whatever. We're going in circles. But the expression is something like, behind the mountain is more mountains. And I love that so much.
Yeah, and so in the context that I heard it was, you're working to climb to the top of the mountain, and you get to the top of the mountain, and as soon as you hit the peak and you look out, there's nothing but more mountains.
Yeah. Behind the mountain is more mountains. You want to climb mountains. Yeah, you don't want to just sit there in the bottom of the valley.
Again, recapping, if it's more about you're in a point of life where you want to do something and your parents aren't willing to support you, you don't feel they will, then you have to ask yourself if it's something that you can and are willing to do on your own.
I think like 12, 13 is the worst.
12 or 13 years old?
Yeah.
I think that's a challenging.
Yeah,
I have a 12-year-old. I think that's a challenging
it's
time
the
of life.
worst. Like,
but what does that matter? You mean when you have kids or in that age?
No,
I don't think any 12 or 13-year-olds watching.
No, there are. I have 13-year-olds who walk and say, "Hey, I'm 13. How do I start my own business?" I'm pumped, man. I wish I had Instagram when I was 12. Holy cow. Anyway,
I won't let my 12-year-old on Instagram.
I think that's a rough age, because you're starting to get ideas for yourself. You're starting to break away a little bit, but you can't leave. Like, if you're 16...
Evan, every age is a rough age, buddy.
No.
See, that's an Evan way of saying it.
I didn't say that. I wouldn't say that.
No, I'm saying every age is a rough age, because guess what? 19 is a rough age because you feel like you should be further ahead. 25 is a rough age because...
25 is not a rough age.
Of course it is.
No, 13.
There are
12 and
huge.
13 is
There are
rough.
people who are facing huge, what they're calling quarter-life crises now, because they're coming out of school, they're entering in a workforce. We're graduating. When I graduated from school,
that's when every age is a rough age.
when I graduated from school, I was told, but I thought that the world was waiting for me. You are told that you will go to school and you will graduate in your field, and 97% of the people who graduate from this course are hired within their field. So I was like, here I am, world, and guess what? No one cared. No one cared. So there are lots of rough ages.
Yeah, no, but 12, 13 is the roughest. I think I'm going on record. Because I always will say, like, when you're 5 years old, you don't have a choice.
Sure.
But you don't even know any different. You don't even think any different. And then once you get 16, like, you can move out. It's hard. It's harder. You did it. You had support of your parents.
Support.
But if you didn't, you can get a part-time job and you can figure out a way if you really needed to.
Yeah.
But when you're 12, 13,
I think a little older. Like, again, I have a 12-year-old turning 13. I think it's like 14 and 15 is where you're facing real life.
I think that's rough. I think it's rough to say that you're actually going to leave home at 13 years old.
You can't. Not in grade. You're talking grade 7. You can't. Not in grade 7.
Okay, but if you're in a really tough spot, like if you're being, whatever, you're being abused or it's.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, but it's hard to move out. Like, it's always hard to move out, but
Yeah.
you can't get a job. How are you going to support yourself? Yeah,
You can't.
That's what's extra rough. This guy complaining about being 25 and no job. Man, I'm talking real stuff.
Listen, there are always people who have had really tough situations, but it doesn't negate your own tough situations that you have to face because they're to you, they're real to you. We do not face people who are, great, we had this amazing middle class, privileged background. We still have stuff to deal with. Of course, it's nowhere near what others have to face. But I think people like me, like myself, I have felt for a long time like I have nothing to complain about. And yet, when I start to think about the purposes of the pain, and when I start to dig into things, and I start to think about my childhood, and I start to connect dots, I realized there was a lot of bad stuff. But because I grew up in a fairly privileged household and I have been successful, I feel guilty even facing some of that stuff. Because what do I really have to complain about? I have nothing to complain about. I still have to face those things. We still have to face those things. Of course, there are people who are in terrible abusive homes or in other cultures, or there are girls in environments where they're not allowed to go to school and like there's so much of that. I won't even go down the bad world path. But in the world that we're in and what we're facing, I think that we shouldn't use other people's pain to not face the things that we had to deal with ourselves.
I'm not suggesting that.
Okay.
I'm not suggesting just because this person's situation is worse, that means you don't have to acknowledge or face
You just
yours.
did that. You said 25 and not getting a job. That's not real stuff. I'm talking about real pain. You said that.
Yeah.
For the 25-year-old who's facing this challenge in the situation they're in, they have their own baggage and they have their own things they're dealing with.
But the path is still through. Like, you go and you solve that and recognize, oh, that actually wasn't that bad, right? Like, the perspective that I'm suggesting is not to look at it and then say, oh, I'm not going to address it. It's to look at it and say, this isn't that big a deal. I can get through it.
But most of us don't address it. And then we don't face it. We don't push through. We don't take action. We don't do it.
So what I'm suggesting is if you're looking at the other people's pain, if you get more perspective, recognize people have gone through this. You're not the first one to have to suffer through this. To use that as strength to go and solve it. Not to sit back and do nothing. I'm saying get perspective. You're saying use perspective to do nothing. And I'm saying use perspective to do something.
Answer. I'm saying that's what we do.
Okay, great. But the problem isn't perspective. Perspective is a great thing. You should get perspective. Use it for positive change in your life, not just use it as an excuse not to do anything.
Oh my goodness. We
Yeah.
have to sit down and have a conversation about how these podcasts work.
What?
What?
That's it.
For me to set up the challenge that people face so that way you can provide the answer to it, I need to set up the challenge.
Okay, great.
I'm not saying that that challenge is my answer, which is what you're equating it to right now. I'm not saying I'm in camp. I'm like, hey,
Okay,
you're
great.
in camp,
Okay,
change
okay,
your
great,
life,
fine.
and I'm in camp, stay
Awesome.
miserable.
Mark's perspective that he's trying to bring is what he's saying you guys are thinking. So
I'm saying
you
people
guys,
face- you guys,
Great.
You guys are in camp, be miserable.
great. Okay, so
We are not.
so everything I told Mark then apply to yourself.
Yeah, pretty much.
Great. Perspective is a great thing. Thinking that there's other people who've gone through worse, I think is a great thing. It's a great tool that you can use to help you get better, or you can use as an excuse.
Okay.
The million reasons or the 8.
And if there's your friends in your life, if you're hitting an age where the friends that you used to have aren't the friends that you should have,
That's
if
the
you're
best.
if you have a spouse who isn't as supportive as you feel that they should be or need to be, if you're being reasonable, I think you can maybe go crazy with it. But if you're being reasonable, then you have to decide, you have to choose to, you're saying, cut those people out of your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then you have a vacuum. So you cut, you first is eliminate. The people who don't serve you anymore, they're not bad people, but people are maintain relationships out of convenience more than anything else. Just because you went to school with them in grade 2, it doesn't mean you're meant to be friends for life. Chances are you've evolved and moved on. That's okay. Mm-hmm. Great, congratulations. Especially if you want to grow and do amazing things. You're a weird duck. Most people stick to their comfort zones, right? You want to challenge that, then you're going to have to move on for some friendships. So eliminate number 1, reduce access, limit exposure, number 2. That might be your parents or close friends or whatever, where certain topics, you still love them, but certain topics cause issues. And then you have this void. You have this emptiness. So you fill it with positivity. You fill it with new friends, or you fill it with aspirational mentors. That's what I do with my channel. I'm with Elon Musk and Oprah and Steve Jobs every day. You fill it with aspirational mentors.
It's hard to be with Elon Musk every day. Have you? I mean, I know you have. Have you tried to sit through like a long form of him talking?
Oh yeah, it's brutal. But that's why my channel's so great, because we do all that work. My team does that now. That's Ivan's job, going through and watching 8 hours to get 20 minutes. Yeah.
It's intense.
But whether it's watching that or reading a book or going to meetups or trying to make new friends, going to events, hanging out with, you have to build a new network. If you stay with the same group of people and the same thinking, you will end up staying the same way. Mm-hmm. And just be frustrated and blame your environment. No, you have a choice. Again, like even 12, 13, you can go research, you can start listening to this podcast, you can start watching YouTube videos, reading books, you can start to build a better mindset for yourself. So,
I like it.
Questions? Yeah, what do you got? You don't know. You didn't plan anything. Okay, here we go. Question number 1.
Question number 1.
What breed of dog does Mark hate the most?
All of them.
All of them. All of the above.
It's so funny. People look at me crazy because I'm not an animal person. Like, I didn't grow up with animals at all. And
So?
I know, but they're like, cool, you show me.
Come on,
like,
look at this. Look at this.
Yeah,
Look at how
cool,
cute she is. Come
cool.
on.
It's a dog, awesome. But you show me a kitten
Unbelievable.
or a puppy or something on a picture. I think it's super cute. I think it's adorable. I don't want the dog or the puppy or we have 2 cats and a Rottweiler. And
fun
4
questions. Let's go. Fun questions.
questions.
What do you got, Mark?
Do you like? Here's a fun question then.
Okay.
Because you were obsessed with this last week. Obsessed.
Okay. What was I obsessed with?
Okay, ready?
Yep. I'm ready. I'm very excited. I want to know what
I want you to make for me
Am I still
your
obsessed?
ideal sundae. Because you kept talking about ice cream last week.
Vanilla ice cream, caramel sauce, with little chunks of caramel in it, some dry rock salt, a little bit, just a tiny bit of rock salt, mini marshmallows. My mouth is watering. maybe a tiny bit of caramel fudge
Michael
kind of
likes
mixed
that.
in
He
there.
thinks it's hilarious.
A lot of caramel. It's caramel overdose.
Caramel.
Caramel. Yeah, that would be my sundae. That's a good sundae.
That's a good
I
sundae.
should have that right now. Oh, and if it's
like the idea
like
of a
hot.
cherry on top.
No, if it's hot,
Cherry
like
on top.
hot fudge.
Oh, I was actually thinking on the way here. I was trying to think of a question that limited you. So I'm going to give you an either or.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Would you rather have to spend?
Would you rather?
Yeah. Would you
That's the
rather
best.
have to spend all day in bed?
Uh-huh.
You can't get out of bed.
Okay.
Or all day outside. You have your phone in
I
both
can do
places.
whatever, internet, all that stuff.
Yeah, but literally, you have to spend the entire day in bed. You can't get up.
Yeah.
You have to lay down the whole
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, I go
or
outside.
You have to be outside.
Yeah, outside's easy.
What if it's the winter?
Well, you didn't say winter, freezing my face off.
Fine, let's make it winter.
Then maybe in bed. Winter where? Winter in Florida?
No,
Winter in Toronto?
winter here.
No, in bed. I could be in bed. That's just.
Laying down the whole day? Your back would hurt. That
But
would
can I
suck.
work? I have my
You
phone.
can have your phone.
Yeah, versus laying outside all day.
No, you don't have to lay. You can walk
Oh,
around. You can
walk
do whatever
around
you
in the
want.
winter?
You're outside.
Depends on how cold it is. If it's uncomfortably cold, I could lie in bed all day. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, if I didn't have anything to do,
Okay.
then that would
What if you have nothing to do?
No, then I would die. Listen, when I had a concussion, the things the doctors told me is like you can't sleep all day.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well I never sleep all
And
day.
you can't
I can't have
stare at a
conversations.
screen or read, right?
No, but they said that later. The two options were you can't sleep and you can't talk to people and have conversations. I'm like, ooh, that's going to be rough. Like, not being able to talk and think, right? But critical thinking, basically.
When I got my laser eye surgery, you have to keep your eyes closed. So I got my surgery at 8 a.m. You have to keep your eyes closed all day the first day. The only thing you can do is put drops in. And so you're literally just, I got home at 11:30 in the morning, and you just have to sit there all day with your eyes closed until you go to sleep and wake up the next day. That was so boring and dull.
But that's different, though.
That by 6:30, I was watching TV that night. And I would just kind of like open my eyes a little bit and leave them unfocused. And if they started to hurt, I would close them and just listen. But there's like, seriously, trying to sit all day with your eyes closed is so boring.
Yeah, the lack of critical thinking would kill me. But if I could do that lying down, like you came to my workshop in Cleveland, I just sat at the front. I didn't move at all for 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
Just answering questions. If I had to lay down,
and your back hurt, and you were laying on the floor, and you were dying.
Yeah. But
aside from that,
yeah. But I would lie down if I had the choice between being outside all day in the winter or lying down in bed. I would probably do lying down in bed, and I would just book meetings with entrepreneurs. Come visit me in bed.
In bed.
Yeah. And I would crush it. And they'd be like, is it over already? What happened? This is the greatest day of all time.
Carmichael bedroom series.
Yeah, I would do that.
You could video it, and you could be in bed, and they can be in bed?
Dude,
and then you could do a whole thing like Mark in the car from bed.
I almost did that in Denver.
Hospital?
No, not the next day. I wanted to say, I told
come
Nina,
by the hospital.
Not the hospital, because we're going to check out, but like come to my home or Airbnb, I'll lie in bed, and you guys ask me questions. And the doctors kiboshed it. They're like, no, you can't have conversations yet. You have a concussion.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I would do that.
So good.
I would totally do that. But not being able to think or have conversations or work, that would be rough.
Yeah.
That would be rough. If you gave me a either or on that, that'd be hard. Okay, what's your third one?
Smarties or M&Ms. So for those of us...
What's inside an M&M?
So M&Ms is chocolate.
Uh-huh.
Smarties is chocolate, but so for our American friends, but just regular ones. Our American friends, they don't have Smarties down in the States.
Oh, really?
It's a Canadian only thing.
Wow, that just shocked our camera people.
Yeah. But
Did not know that.
So M&Ms are a little bit more sweet because they're American, of course. So there's like a lot more sugar in them. Sweet and cocoa-y, like chocolatey. And Smarties are actually less sweet and like a little bit more like milk chocolate. But they're pretty much the same hard shell or whatever you want. So Smarties or M&Ms?
I don't know. Just from the description, I'd probably go M&Ms because I like sweet.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I couldn't tell.
I like Smarties because they're bigger and a little bit crunchier. So when you jam a whole box in your mouth and crunch down on it, it is so satisfying to get that real crunch.
Okay.
I feel like the M&Ms are a little bit softer.
Wow, he's hating on the M&Ms.
How is that hating on? I feel like they're a little softer. It's suddenly hating on the M&Ms.
Yep, hating on dogs and M&Ms.
Dogs, yeah. Don't get me started on dogs. Okay, we got 7 minutes. Let's go ahead and hit some of these questions. It's Suber XX. What about would you rather have the power to see when you die or see how you die? Oh my goodness.
See, there you go.
Would you rather see when you die or how you die?
When I die or how I die? What do you have?
I would not. It's would you rather? Neither, thank you. I don't want to know when I die.
Yeah, but you have to pick it's the whole point is that you can't say neither. You have to pick something, Mark.
When?
When you die versus how you die?
Oh, I wouldn't want it. Imagine how traumatic knowing how, like, so suddenly, like right now, boom, in my head.
Was it when or where?
It's when you die.
When you die or how you die.
How you die. So suddenly, in your mind, you realize you have a flash moment that it's a horrible car accident. Imagine how terribly, but if the other answer is like 52, it's like, oh, shoot, I'm going to swear there. Yeah. Oh, shoot, I better start living my life and getting things aligned. When?
Yeah, I go when, too. I don't want to say
how.
how I
I've
die.
never heard anyone think
how I die
how
is
you
pretty
die.
scary, yeah.
I mean, unless if it's like surrounded with loved ones at the, in the hospital and I'm 140, I don't really want to know the answer.
But you don't know when. You don't know you're 140.
No, because I could like look. I could look really old.
No.
The veins and
that's
the hands
cheating.
and all that
No, that's cheating, Mark.
No, how you die? Oh gosh, what a question. I don't know what to say to that.
What a
Tadiduro. You really want me to say these names? Tadiduro.
Yes.
T did Euro.
Okay, great.
What to do if I can't find people around me interested in personal development or entrepreneurship or etc.
Okay.
You get to pick your circle around you. And the internet obviously makes the world a lot smaller. So you get to decide if you want to be able to poke and touch and feel the people that you hang out with, that's one thing. But there's YouTube, there's Instagram, there are people like Evan who are compiling all kinds of amazing people packaged into topics, and so you can choose who you want your peers to be. You don't have to be able to sit in front of them or have a coffee or be able to ask them a question to be able, although someone like Evan, you can ask a question because you just asked one right now. So you can get answers from people because they're more accessible than ever. You just have to decide that you want to pick your peers.
Yeah, and if you want face-to-face stuff, then you start hanging out, go to events.
How do you like me just stealing your answer and then saying it?
I agree with everything you just said.
That's pretty much an Evan answer.
And you go to events and you're looking for one person at that event that maybe you connect with, and then try to find a way to stay connected afterwards, right? I mean, how did we meet?
Mastermind. Max Callis was in your mastermind group.
Okay.
And I knew him.
And that was the
from
first time we met?
We met at Frank's live event that I filmed.
Oh, really?
That payroll
That's the first
thing. Yeah.
Make the first yes. So you go and introduce yourself to somebody. You go to events and you learn about people. You say the first thing, right? And it's scary, but that's how you meet people. So, I mean, look, Michael over here is sitting on the side. He came.
This dude came from Kentucky.
Whatever. He's not even the furthest one coming to the workshop. But he when I did my tour, he drove. I wasn't going to his city. So he drove 3.5 hours to get to my tour stop in Indianapolis. And now I'm doing this workshop coming up next week. Is it next week?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Thursday.
Tuesday.
Yeah,
Tuesday.
it starts
Wednesday.
Starts a week yesterday, and he drove from Kentucky to come and be here, right? And so now he's in my circle. He's teaching me about meditation thing, you know.
Yes, he remembered. I love it.
All this stuff. So you have to take the first step. Introduce yourself to people. Say hi. Go to events.
Okay, here's a question from Noor Fatima 77. Shall we stop dreaming if our parents are not satisfied by our dreams?
What do you got, Mark?
What do I have? They're your dreams. It's going to be very hard for you to spend all of your time trying to convince people that your dreams make sense because they're yours. And they have their dreams, and you will continue to have dreams as you go on. So I think we already covered a little bit about this, but if you have the passion and the drive and desire to make your dreams real, then you need to own them and you need to decide if you're living your life or their life, to quote Evan Carmichael.
Fast forward to age 95.
Will you regret your life?
You've just found out when you're going to die.
And how.
Right? No, not and how, just when. When you're going to die, 95. You never did the thing that you wanted to do because your parents didn't agree. Are you okay with that? And that's your answer.
Here's the thing. You are the biggest person to hold you back from your own dreams. Because when you have a dream and you want to pursue it, most people are afraid to tell people, even their loved ones.
You got 20 seconds, Mark.
About their dreams. Because they're so worried about the judgment that's going to come from it. So you actually limit your own dreams because you proactively worry about all the things everyone's going to tell you. So chances are most people won't believe in your dreams. You just need to believe in them enough and go out there and make it happen.
That's the Something to Prove podcast. See you next week. Go
brave.
Watch it and leave a review.
Okay, great.
We love you.
Wow.
If you want to see the last episode of my podcast with Mark, it's fire. The link is right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
You need a kick. Just a kick forward, not down. Otherwise, you stay where you are.
Surely this many good things couldn't happen to one person.